process a borrower goes through to take money from the construction holdback or construction escrow can vary dramatically between not only private lender to private lender, but can definitely vary dramatically between private lender and bank-like traditional lender. And that's because a construction loan is naturally high touch, right? A construction loan draw process is a post-closing process that can mean the difference between your project taking 6 months or 8 months, simply by adding up the time frame it takes to go through each and every draw. And you may have 6, 10 draws in a project, depending how heavy the construction is. So at the end of the day, construction draws are almost as important, if not equally as important, as speed to close to my most experienced investors, the folks that I'm trying to win business from other lenders. Those guys are focused on not just speed to close, but speed through the draw process. And in the videos, I'm going to go through all about how the process can vary dramatically between one lender and another. What's a construction draw? Well, first you have to understand how a lender comes up with their total loan amount in a fix and flip loan scenario or in a ground up construction scenario. A lender will have a total amount that they're going to fund against the property, the total loan amount, and then they'll have a loan amount that they're going to make at closing, and then an amount that's going to go towards construction. In a situation where a builder is buying a lot, a lender might fund up to 70% of the lot purchase plus 100% of construction. In a situation where it's a fix and flip, the lender might fund up to 90% of the purchase plus 100% of construction. That construction amount isn't going to be funded by the lender at closing because they'd be over advancing against the value of the property as it sits today. The lender wants to control that amount. What they hold back that amount, they put it into escrow, and the process that a borrower goes through to draw on that escrow is simply called a construction draw. What can banks require as part of a construction draw process versus a lender like myself, a private lender, hard money lender? And so, having dealt with the banks, having managed $2 billion in debt across all different property types, commercial, residential, I can tell you that the banks can require lien waivers from all your contractors. That's a form that each one of them has to sign saying that they didn't put a lien on the property since the last time that you ran title. Title date downs. That's another step required. Invoice or paid in full receipts, paperwork that you have to collect and build up as support for all the work that you've done, which can take time and it can be a lot. An inspection, a bank can require a third-party inspector to go out, and that can mean all the time it takes to schedule the inspection. The inspector has to go there, take pictures. They have to write up their report, put their report together, and then ultimately send it over to our draw team or the bank's draw team, have them review it, get back with questions with the inspector, you name it. We don't require inspections here. We have a virtual draws process as an example. So all of these things can add up and can take time, which can delay your project, add cost to your project, both in terms of interest and just general delays. And that matters to my investors. That matters to my builders that want to scale and grow their portfolio. Why do lenders require construction inspections as part of their draw process? And it's simple, because there's a lot of fraud out there, unfortunately. I've personally seen it. I ran a debt fund, and you at times can see borrowers play games with construction draws. Maybe they're strapped for cash and they need money to fund project A, and you're lending on project B. They take pictures of work they've done on project A for the benefit of us advancing on project B, and now as a lender, we've advanced too much against the actual as-is value of the property, and now we're at risk of losing money in the event we had to foreclose. So unfortunately, inspections are needed. Now, the question is how does the lender go about handling their inspections? And I'm lucky to have the benefit of a virtual construction draw process where we use a app to take pictures which geotags the pictures so that we know that the pictures of the property are of our property at that specific location, so that we can skip the construction inspection altogether, because ultimately, I believe the real primary job of the construction inspector is to take pictures to prove that work has been done, to be the eyeballs themselves, but ultimately to provide pictures and report, a third-party report that insulates the draw team, but ultimately is the eyes and ears on the ground that protects the lender and makes sure that the lender is advancing against added value to their property and obviously their collateral. So why don't lenders just advance the construction money at closing, fully fund their loan, and let the borrowers do the work so that it can just get done quickly and they don't have to deal with any process at all? And the answer is simple. The lenders always are going to lend against the value of the property. They never want to lend over a certain loan to value, LTV. So when a lender goes in and funds a percentage of purchase, they're going to ask for a certain down payment. With us, your experience will determine how much you put down. It could be 10%. If it's a fix and flip, it could be 30% if you're buying land on a new construction project. But at the end of the day, the lender is going to advance against the value of the property, and they're doing it at a certain level. Again, it's different between advancing against land or a house, but they're doing it at a certain level. And then throughout the project, the lender is taking the money in escrow and giving it to you, effectively lending against the added value you've created by doing the construction work. So as an example, let's say that a builder went in, cleared the site and put the foundation in and wants a $50,000 construction draw. Well, it's safe to say that the value of the property has gone up by the amount the builder has put in through adding the foundation and clearing the site. And so we're going to advance and reimburse the borrower for that work and effectively lend against that added value. So now the borrower goes through and does the framing of the house, and then we're going to lend against 100% of the work being done for the framing. It could be 50% done with the framing. We're going to advance 50% of the framing budget, and we're always advancing against the borrower adding value to the property. We're going to release loan proceeds against that added value. It's simply reimbursing the borrower for work complete. Speed matters in the draw process almost as much as it matters in closing time frame. And I can't stress that enough. I think I've built a business of repeat clients who understand that. And when I talk to new borrowers about our construction loan programs, I know who I'm dealing with immediately in terms of experience when they get through the closing process very quickly and they focus on our speed in terms of our draws. And that is a sophisticated builder or flipper who understands that speed doesn't just stop at closing. It gets through this high touch business of construction lending. It gets you, the builder, the investor, through the draw process as fast as possible so that you can keep your contractors on site, the project moving, and ultimately keep your borrowing costs down, your interest carry down by getting these draws faster than you would from a competitor of mine, as an example. And we talk about that all the time. I win business from other lenders all day long. It could be that a borrower just closed a loan with another lender, went through 2 draws and came to me to refinance them out simply because their draw process was terrible. And there's a lot of reasons for that. But the fact is the lenders in this space who understand that we're in the speed of money business, they get through the closing fast, but they also know that this high touch construction draw process has to be efficient to keep the borrower liquid and the project moving, and that's what we do here. My draw process here at ABL is simple because it's virtual. And what that does is it saves a lot of time, because in lieu of inspections, where an inspector has to schedule an inspection to see the property, to take pictures of all the work that you've done, to qualify the work that you've done, and then to report back to us that the work was done and show evidence of that through pictures, all of that takes a couple days at least to coordinate and get through the process. Here, we do it virtually, where you, the borrower on site, take pictures and upload through an app that geotags. We know the location of the pictures was at the property on site. Our draw team manager picks up the file because they get an alert that you've submitted a draw request. You've put in the amount that corresponds to the budget that was approved prior to closing. The draw team manager reviews the pictures against the work requested, and then we wire the money into your account. Oftentimes, that process can take as little as 2 days versus companies that can require inspectors. And then we're going to get in all the different paperwork that can be created and required by other lenders that we simply don't require here. We don't require invoices, paid in full receipts, and we don't do lien waivers or title updates. And again, all of those items can save time. They're just added red tape, and we don't need that here. Generally in the private credit world, but definitely here at my shop here at ABL. How many construction draws can you take? Well, you can take as many as you want. And for some, that can mean a draw every $25,000. And then I have builders who build $500,000 houses and take a draw every $100,000. So it's really a function of how liquid you are as a builder or a flipper and how frequent you want to use our money. And and that can come down to people that are very liquid. I have builders that, may not take a draw until they're halfway done with a house simply because they have enough cash in the bank at that time. So the amount of draws that you want to take is completely up to you. And I think that flexibility is really beneficial to, investors and builders alike who are really trying always to nail down their timeline and need the ability to take as many or as few as they need to get the project through to completion. How much do construction draws cost? Well, with us, they cost $195 per draw. We collect that at closing. So if you plan to take 5 draws, we're going to collect 5 times $195. If you plan to take 2, we collect 2 times $195. And if you use them all, that's great. If you don't, we'll give you a credit on the payoff letter. If you take more, that's fine too. We'll just add it to the payoff letter. So the cost is minimal, I think, and with some lenders it can cost significantly more, or if you have a commercial project, it can cost more because it requires maybe a real, certified, or licensed inspector with different, reporting requirements and invoice support and all of that. So be careful because the fees can add up. So you want to be mindful, but that's how the fees work and that's how much they cost with us. So why are borrowers willing to pay private lending rates, hard money rates, 8.99% to 12% when they can qualify for a construction loan from a bank? Well, it's because of speed, simply put. And if you think about it logically, right, banks don't do anything fast. They require a lot of paperwork, right? So I call that touches. And with a bank, there are a lot of touches just naturally through their due diligence process and qualifying you all the way up through closing. That process can take 60 days. But if you apply that same logic to the construction draw process and the amount of touches that you're going to have during the life of a loan, trying to get through the project, get it built and on market to be sold, well, then naturally that just means that all of those touches are going to take longer with a bank than they would with a hard money lender like myself. So what does that do? Well, obviously that means time is money. It means higher interest costs. It means keeping people on site longer, paying contractors to come back. It means all of those things, but it also can mean timing the market or selling the property in the market versus the market you don't. So a project right now, trying to get geared up and ready to go for the winter so that they can be on market and be selling into a strong spring market, as an example in New England, can really put your timeline at risk if you go to a bank where you may be saying to yourself, I can save a little bit of interest here, but with the bank, I might not be able to get through construction until the summer, and that could put me into the fall market, and that could put pressure on my sales price and my exit. But with a lender like myself or ABL, we're going to be able to shorten that time frame and not just keep the cost and the carry costs down. I mean, sure, there's higher interest costs, but you also have everything else to consider. But let's not forget selling it in the market versus the market you don't. And because market timing can be equally as important as, focusing on keeping your interest carry low, because you have to focus on ultimately your exit. And I stress that in my videos. And to me, having a bank involved can jeopardize the timing and ultimately put your exit at risk in achieving the sale price that you're looking to achieve in the end. A fast draw process can mean so much and drive so much value to a builder who's looking to control their timeline, because it can mean keeping your contractors on site. It can mean all that goes into your scheduling with the contractors and they're coming and going. It can mean being able to be liquid and to be able to buy materials and to get the materials to the contractors on time, and all that goes into it. And to keep the project liquid is almost more important, again, as getting to a closing on time. That I can't stress that enough, and I can't stress that the time frame in which a draw process can occur and the lack of paperwork and all that goes along with it can allow builders to scale. It can allow builders to not just have one project or two projects going, but 4, 5, and 6 at a time, which can even drive more value and more efficiency, again, to a builder who's looking to build and only to build and to grow. If you've ever had a project stall out, or just simply you're just frustrated beyond belief with your existing lender and you just don't understand why things take so long or whatever, you have to experience a draw process like the one we offer here at Asset-Based Lending. And I don't just mean that from the standpoint of, it's my program, it's what I'm selling, obviously, but it's also the fact that our process is virtual. Our process doesn't come with all the red tape and the paperwork, and that matters. As I'll stress throughout all of my videos, speed is important. It keeps the projects moving. It keeps you efficient as a builder, and there's no one that does it better than us here at ABL. So I appreciate all the support you guys give me on my videos. If you have any comments or questions on the construction draw process in general, our construction draw process here, or what have you, please don't be shy. Leave them in the comments. I get back to people very quickly, and I'm always happy to have any feedback. So, and appreciate the likes, of course, and the subscribe. So thanks for watching, and I look forward to the next one.